Hi everybody, and welcome to Everyday Manna Thanksgiving. Today we are going to be doing something that I recently have discovered that I have fallen in love with, how to cook my turkey deep fried. Now I have to admit I was a little bit apprehensive at first because all I've ever seen were the ones that are outside with the actual flame underneath a burner to heat up the oil in a big pot and it just overflowing. And I thought, I was a little scared of that. Then I found this, and this is an indoor turkey fryer. It's an electric turkey fryer. And I got it on Amazon, and I thought, okay, I'd like to try that. And let me tell you, this may be the only way I ever cook turkey again, because it is easy, quick, and delicious. It really was one of, if not the most juicy turkey breasts I have ever cooked. So that's what we're going to do first today, because it takes about 45 minutes. Now, what you have to do, and you do have to plan ahead a little bit, it takes this oil a good 30 minutes or more to heat up. You have a dial here that you can, now on mine, yours could be different, that you tell it what temperature you want yours to. And then what you need to do is make sure that your turkey is thawed completely, no ice, and that you have patted it dry. So in all the little cavities. Now you can cook, this particular one you can cook up to a 20-pound whole turkey. Today I'm just going to do a turkey breast. So what you need to do is take your turkey breast after you've patted him dry. This has a removable basket, and I'm just going to put the turkey breast right there. Now this has a little lifter so that I can get the handle up for the basket because it's hot. And then what I like to do is take two little mitts, lift it off of the edges, and then slowly drop it down in the oil. And that's it. Shut that back up, time it for 45 minutes, and you will have the most delicious turkey breast. Now I need to wash my hands, that you have ever had. It really, really is delicious. Because I touched raw poultry, and anytime you touch raw meat of any kind, you need to make sure that you wash your hands thoroughly to avoid the cross-contamination. I did put an apron on because I don't want to get splattered from the oil. So he's just cooking away. Make sure it's at 325 degrees for mine. I really like that thing. And you're not just limited to turkey. If you were doing wings or fried chicken or something for a group, that would be the perfect fryer, deep fryer. So now let's get started on what is perhaps my favorite Thanksgiving dessert, and that is pumpkin pie. We're going to make a homemade pumpkin pie. I have 3 eggs that I'm actually going to lightly beat first, just to kind of break them up. Then I'm going to add in some light brown sugar and some regular granulated sugar, some salt, some pumpkin pie spice, and some heavy cream, about 1.5 cups of heavy cream. I love pumpkin pie. It really is probably my favorite Thanksgiving dessert. I mean, to me, you can't have Thanksgiving if you don't have pumpkin pie. I'd rather have the pie than the turkey, really. And then I always get the Libby's brand, and I like to put the whole can. This is a, 15-ounce can of pumpkin puree. Now, make sure when you are buying this that you don't get pumpkin pie mix, because they're side by side, and I've done it before, and then I've gotten home, I'm like, oh, I got the wrong thing. Make sure it's just the 100% pure pumpkin. And honestly, it is not worth your time and effort to get the pie pumpkins, cook them down, strain them. This is delicious. Just get the libbies and call it done. All right, mix that in. We're making a custard. I like to beat it in with my mixer. Smells like Thanksgiving already. That's it. That's all you need to make a homemade pumpkin pie. Now, sometimes, this is where I mix it up. Sometimes I will do a shortbread crust. Sometimes I'll do the traditional flaky pie crust. But recently, I have discovered that the grocery stores sell the pre-made right alongside the graham cracker crusts. The pre-made, they have pecan crust, pie crusts, and walnut pie crust. This happens to be a walnut crust, so I just purchased one of those instead of making my own nut crust. Take your filling and fill up. This will actually make 2 pies, so we'll just reserve this and bake another one. I like to kind of whack it a little bit just to kind of release those air bubbles. This goes into a 350-degree oven. Let's go back here for about 45 minutes. Right in the center. And then once it's done, you can, just let it cool. That can be made, obviously, a day or 2 ahead of time. And, this recipe makes enough for 2. So if you wanted to do one traditional crust and then one, the walnut crust, or if you're like me and you eat low carb, you could even make an almond crust. Although that nut crust is not bad on carbs either. So we'll just reserve that and bake another pie. Those are just 2 quick, easy beginnings to your meal. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to clean up my mess here. That's cooking away. You should hear it bubbling away. That's baking. When I come back, we're going to get started on our stuffing. I'll be back in just a minute. Alrighty, now our pie is in the oven, our turkey is cooking, and we're going to make one of my favorite side dishes, and that's going to be a Brussels sprout side dish. Now, I have here some bacon that I am going to slice into bite-sized pieces, and I'm going to go ahead and cook the bacon in my skillet. So let's get that cut up, fingers back. Just cut up your bacon. Put as much as you like. I've got 5 or 6 slices of bacon there. Always have my little thing handy. Put this in the sink. Wash my hands again because I touched that bacon. Okay, now, while that is sauteing, I want to show you something I found at the grocery store. Now, you don't find this all the time, but I was thinking, I bet a lot of you have never seen how Brussels sprouts grow. So I bought it. This is how your Brussels sprouts grow in the garden. Sometimes around Thanksgiving, Christmas, you will find them on the stalks in the grocery store. So I thought it was interesting, and I thought, it would be fun for you to see it. So this is how they grow. So what you need to do is take a little small paring knife and just cut them off from the stalk, or you can just buy, a pound of Brussels sprouts, or 2 pounds. If you're like me, you better cook 2 pounds because honestly, I love them. I know a lot of people aren't Brussels sprout fans, and I am convinced that the reason they're not Brussels sprout fans is that they have never had them the right way. So I'll do those in just a second. But that's all you do is just take your little paring knife and cut some of them off. You've already got the bottom trimmed. So what you want to do is take off any bruised or discolored leaves. Like this has some extra little leaves on there. I don't want those on, so I might need to trim them just a little closer. And then cut them in half, being very careful. You see this little thing right here? That is the core. And you want to make sure that you leave that intact and that you cut through that. So just cut right in the middle of that core. It's much like a little baby cabbage, and inside you'll see it has that rounded core, and that keeps all the leaves together. So do make sure that you leave that little core intact. And cut them in half, and then we rinse them. So I'm going to take just a quick little break here. I'm going to finish trimming these up. Not going to do anything else but stir my bacon. And I'll show you how we get this dish going in just a minute. All right, now we cooked our bacon and just took it out of the skillet. I left the drippings in there, trimmed and washed the Brussels sprouts. Now we need to add a shallot. This is a shallot, by the way, if you've never seen a shallot. If you don't have a shallot, or if you find them everywhere now, you can use a small onion. It would be fine, or even some green onions. Usually the shallots will have 2 lobes, 1, 2. I like to cut it in half. This is actually kind of a big shallot, but it's okay. And take off that papery skin. A shallot is a mild onion. I think it has a cross between an onion and a cross of onion and garlic. Just a tiny bit of that flavor in there. Lay it flat and then dice it. It is much more delicate than, say, an onion. So put that in there. Just going to saute those shallots. I'm going to cook this one too. Just get that papery skin off. Does make your eyes water just like an onion. Sometimes more than others. This one is definitely making my eyes water. Slippery little thing. There we go. I like the delicate flavor. Oh, my eyes, they're watering. Goodness. Whew. Get that in the bacon fat. All right, we're just sauteing the shallot. We're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper, and then our Brussels sprouts. Stand back because they do still have a little bit of water on them. Obviously, you can buy a pound of Brussels sprouts in the grocery store. I'm going to have to dry my eyes. Excuse me. I'm crying. I'm just going to kind of saute these for just a couple of minutes to soften them and get them a little bit browned up. I love these. And back to Brussels sprouts for just a second. Most people think they don't like them. And I think what has happened is most people have not had them prepared the correct way. If all you've ever known are Brussels sprouts that are boiled to death, you won't like them. I can't stand them like that. But if you've ever had a roasted Brussels sprout, you can do this very thing. You could transfer that right now to a lined baking dish, turn the cut sides down, sprinkle it with a little bit more kosher salt, pop them in a 425-degree oven. Fabulous for about 15-20 minutes until they get just a little bit browned on those edges. Delicious. Or you can shred them and quickly saute them. Delicious. Or you can do what I'm going to do, and that's make a Brussels sprout cheesy casserole, because, you know, it is, let's go to the refrigerator. It is Thanksgiving. We're busy with lots and lots of different recipes and timing. So we need things that are easier and don't require a lot of attention. Now I have here some white cheddar cheese because I like the look of the white cheddar with it. If you don't have white cheddar, you can find it everywhere, but if you don't have the white cheddar, you can substitute yellow or Colby or Monterey. You can put any kind of cheese that you want to in this dish. I just personally prefer the white cheddar, and I'm doing it on a plate to make it easier. And I'm just grating it on the box grater, the large holes, because I can't find shredded white cheddar much anywhere. And honestly, I really do like the flavor of cheeses better that I shred myself, but sometimes it's just more convenient to do the other. You'll need about a cup. Need a little more. It's chilled, but it's still crumbly. That's fine. That'll make some great snacking later. Just letting those saute. Little more. Not rocket science. You do as much as you want. That'll be good. Okay. Now, put that over there. I also have some grated Parmesan because that's my favorite cheese, and it puts a beautiful crust over top of our Brussels sprouts. Now, the reason that I like to do this is that you see that little bit of a golden, beautiful, just so delicious. I absolutely love these things. I'm telling you, they are so good. You will need a baking dish that I'm going to spray because I don't want anything to stick. We're going to add some heavy cream. That's going to add some richness, and it's going to help us to form a sauce. Not much, just about maybe 3/4 of a cup for a couple of pounds of Brussels sprouts. Then we're going to add our cheese that we just grated. Now do you see why I did it on a plate? So much easier. Stir that all together. You can turn your stove off, your eye off. Mix that. Okie doke. Then what you want to do is take your dish or your skillet, put it in your dish, spread them out. Oh, they smell so good. I still like them to have a little bit of texture to them and a little bit of, I want a lot of that green color. We're going to sprinkle them with our bacon. You can stir this in if you want to. It's fine. I think I might do that. Let's just stir that all together. 375 degrees or 350. If your pie's baking at 350, you can put it right alongside there. You don't have to have 2 ovens. And then I like to top it with just a little bit of Parmesan cheese, grated Parm. This needs to go into the oven for about 15 or 20 minutes until that cheese further melts. The Brussels sprouts kind of soften just a little bit more, and it just is fabulous. This, again, you could get it to this stage the day before Thanksgiving and then do your final bake-off. Just make sure you cover it, put it in the refrigerator, let it set, and then when you're ready to bake it, pull it out, 375 for, if it's chilled, like 30 minutes. Fabulous. So this is one of those that you can totally make ahead. So I'm going to take a break, clean up, pop this in the oven. When I come back, we're going to make our stuffing, and then we get to do the best part, and that's pull that turkey out, carve it, and eat. Everything will be done. We'll be back in just a minute. Alrighty, now we're going to make our stuffing. I have here just a couple of tablespoons of butter and about half a cup or so of onion that I've chopped, that I've already got sauteed. And I'm going to add an ingredient that you don't see me use very often, and that's mushrooms. But this is going to be a mushroom stuffing. So I just bought pre-sliced white buttons, because, you know, it's Thanksgiving and we're busy and we do not need to have a bunch of stuff to do the day of Thanksgiving. So pre-chopped all the way. If you want to chop your own, go right ahead. That's fine. I think I'm going to add a little bit more butter just to kind of add a little more flavor. And mushrooms do absorb most of the liquid there. So let's get that going. And we're going to add a little bit of, I'm adding thyme and rosemary. If you want to add some sage, you can. And some salt and pepper. And some freshly chopped parsley. Flat leaf Italian parsley. Fresh. It adds that something to it. Let's get that all stirred in together. We really just want those mushrooms to soften. That's what we're doing here. Alrighty, now we just have softened up those mushrooms. I have here just a bag of the herbed breadcrumb mixture that you can buy this time of year, or really any time of the year. I'm going to add my mushroom mixture to this. I'm also going to add some chicken broth. Now I have, you know, you could need up to a couple of cups. It really depends on how much moisture the mushrooms and the breadcrumb mixture soak up. You could do this, you know, a day ahead of time. Keep it in the refrigerator, bake it off at the last minute. You could also use cornbread. You could use just your own breadcrumbs. You can use whatever kind of bread mixture that you want. Clean hands, best little tool in the kitchen. And that's really the only way that I think you can tell when you've got enough of your chicken broth in there. Now, pat that down. I like to add just a little drizzle of this over top, 350 degrees for 30 minutes, and you will have a delicious, delicious double mushroom stuffing. All righty, we are back, and I'm telling you, you know, if you wanted to add some mashed potatoes or mashed cauliflower or some sweet potatoes and cranberry sauce, you've got your spread right here. And honestly, if you deep fry that turkey, at least the breast, it takes 45 minutes. A turkey itself doesn't take more than a whole turkey, probably an hour and a half maybe. You really could have Thanksgiving done start to finish in under 2 hours. So you don't need to spend all day long. This, of course, is our deep fried turkey breast. Now, it needs to set for, you know, like any cut of meat, you need to let it set for, say, 20 minutes or so before you start carving into it. Allow the juices time to redistribute back into the meat. I can't wait to eat that. And the skin is just crispy and golden and beautiful and absolutely delicious. Here is our wonderful Brussels sprout, cheesy Brussels sprout bake. We've got that. I cannot wait to dig into that. They just look absolutely scrumptious. We've got our Brussels sprouts. We've got bacon. We've got some cheddar cheese, heavy cream. We topped it with just a tiny bit of Parmesan just to give that crunch on the top. Here is our double mushroom stuffing that we made with some sauteed onions, lots of mushrooms, some breadcrumbs, some heavy, just some chicken broth, some spices. Now I used thyme and rosemary, salt and pepper, but if you wanted to use poultry season or some sage, add some sage to that, you can. You can really flavor that up. And of course, our delicious homemade pumpkin pie that I topped with just a little bit of the non-dairy whipped topping and a tiny, tiny bit of the pumpkin pie spice. So here you go, a very easy, quick Thanksgiving meal from our kitchen to yours. You and your family have a wonderful, wonderful, happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the day. Spend it with those that you love, and have a bite of turkey and pumpkin pie for me. Thank you for joining with me, and I will see you next time on Everyday Manna.